Let's go back. Back in time. Way, way back to the distant past, when the world was a much different place than it is now. The year 2008. The game Windchaser. Welcome to Chimera Games History. This time, we caught up with Chris and Alex, who took us back 11 years to talk about developing Chimera's very first game. They were very candid about how it all started.
So we actually decided to make the game as a university project, where we had to do, in 3 months' time, we had to do a game, which turned out to be a prototype, but it was actually so good that we wanted to sell it.
So basically, Windchaser was a weird mix of strategy and RPG. It's like a mix of the genres we always liked to play, basically, from when we were young. And we wanted to do something innovative, I guess, like most people are when they are in university. And that's how we ended up with this crazy formula.
The fun part of it was that a journalist from the GameStar magazine back in the days, he saw it when we presented it after we finished the prototype, and he actually said, that's a game that I would like to play. So I figured we might as well try to find some money for it and make it.
As Eoin, the hero of the game, your mission is to save the world of Ensai from the apocalypse by recruiting characters from other classes and turning them on your base, the titular Windchaser, a floating airship which you can then improve by building additional units like training and trading facilities, a sacrificial shrine, and herbal gardens. So, how does a group of university students go about actually finishing a full game?
We actually had no real roles for the game. We were only a handful of people to start off with, so everybody just had to do what was there to be done.
Yeah, everybody just helped each other out, and if somebody could do something, they just jumped on it and did it. We didn't even have a proper, design document or anything like this. We had a vague idea, noted a lot of stuff on paper, and just went in and did it. Basically.
A lot of the time we sat together actually in the evening hours, and you did some changes in the game design or balancing, and I tried it out because I was programming myself back in the day, so that was a really fun way to work together, which couldn't be repeated at the later stages in the company. So that
it was a little bit
part.
chaotic actually, but it was a lot of fun. And I think it really helped us that we didn't have this formulistic approach, because we just, did what we thought felt right. And then this is how we came to a good result in the little time we had.
And when the game was released, I actually went to the Saturn store at the first day it came out to check if it's actually there. And I found it and I bought it, so I was probably the first person to buy a copy of our own game back then.
We didn't sell a lot of copies actually, so this one really counted.
But it was well received from the critics, and we received a pretty good score on most of the magazines and websites that reviewed it, which made us very happy.
This was really cool because the QA team, especially on our publisher side, which was TDP back in the day, they had a bet going that this game will never score above 60%. They didn't really like it, and it all really came together in the last couple of weeks, a month really. So it was hard to see the potential. But I made the bet against it, so we were super happy to see, I think, average of 78%.
Yeah, 78.
Low 80s, so it was really, really nice.
And they made this awesome strategy guide.
Yeah.
You remember?
This was impressive.
They didn't ask us about any of it, about the Easter eggs we put in the game. And it was quite a lot, and quite some different challenges.
They're hidden, so yeah.
And they found them all, they put it in a strategy guide, and then they sent it to us, and we were like, why didn't you ask us to make this?
But there was actually one really interesting story. So when we released the game, there was a TV show back in the day called Giga Games. And for some reason, they decided to pick up our game and play it on TV in a live environment. And we were really eager to watch how this would go. And then they picked up the game and had a really difficult time to understand what was going on. They didn't get how the combat worked and all this stuff. So they crawled through the tutorial at snail's pace, and they couldn't really make progress. And then there was the break for advertisement, and they said, guys, we'll try to figure this out, see you after the break. We were like this, oh my God, they will never get this. And they came back after the break and said, okay guys, we talked about it, we went back to the manual, now we got it. And then they tried to explain the combat system all over again, it was completely wrong. So since then we actually learned it's really good to make complex games. We like complex games, but not make them complicated. That's actually not a good idea. And that's the
First.
rule of design we stuck to ever since.
First lesson learned
Yeah.
in game development.
It was really heartbreaking to see those guys playing the game and not getting it at all, but yeah.
Nowadays it would fit in very well with the likes of Dark Souls and so forth.
Absolutely, I think we were ahead of our time, I guess.
I think I actually never played through the game from start to finish.
What?
Yes, but I played every level at least 10 times during development, so I think that counts as a multiple playthrough as well.
I needed to balance the other things, so I played through it a dozen times, I guess, and yeah, I remember it quite well. I think most of the details and so on, even though it has been 12 years since I touched it. That's a really cool one. When this was the original cover of the game we designed together with one of our very first artists we had, and then a couple of months later or so, we got an additional cover box, and they re-released the game in Russia somewhere, and they just redrew all the art. And it looked awesome, much better than our art actually. They had an awesome cover like of this guy, but it was really well drawn, so we were super surprised about this.
I mean, when did you see such a good cover?
And by the way,
box?
that's another really cool thing. I think we were one of the last games ever. Oh no, it's not in here. To release with about an 80-page booklet, like an instruction manual, with lots of art and stuff, and it was really.
It's in there.
Is it in there?
Yeah. Let's get it out.
In there.
It's in there.
Yes. Oh, it's not as thick as I remembered it.
There it is.
But still, it was really nice. And it was actually really important to read through this thing because the game was so complicated.
Okay.
Oh well. Very nice.
Thanks guys for the nice trip back in time. More information about the game is on our website. The link is in the description. See you next time.